Welcome to the JH Insider Podcast, the show where we delve into industry insights and trends and share stories from our JH experts and guests. I'm your host, Dan Fogarty, Fire Safety Consultant at Jensen Hughes Pacific. In today's episode, we'll dive into fire protection design, bringing you personal stories and expert advice from David Quigley, Fire Protection Market Lead for Jensen Hughes in Australia. Whether you're here to learn something new, be entertained, or get inspired, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and follow the JH Insider Podcast from where you get your podcasts, or visit us at www.jensenhughes.com/Pacific. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Now, David, to kick off, let's get to know the man himself and give us a picture of who you are and how you got into this industry.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to have a few words with you, Dan. I really appreciate it. So, my name's David Quigley. I'm the market lead for fire protection in Australia, Jensen Hughes. I'm originally from Ireland, if you can't tell already by my accent. I came to Australia in 2006. Came here like a lot of Europeans at that time, looking for something new, a bit of an adventure. I've been in the fire protection industry for 23 years now, I think it is in total. And 19 of those 23 have been in Australia in consulting engineer roles mostly. And again, it's been a unique start, I suppose, into the Australian market. When I first arrived, it was quite different to what I'd been used to in the European market and how they operate. But yeah, it's been thoroughly enjoyable, and it's great to be part of such a great team here at Jensen Hughes.
Fantastic. Yeah, I find that everyone has their kind of unique story into the world and into the career path that they have, and I don't think anyone has a quintessential stock standard path. There's always some interesting way into it. So that's fantastic. In your experience as well, what led you to fire protection, and what was the drive? What was the passion?
So when I finished college back in Dublin, it would have been probably early 2000s, perhaps, there was a company called Mercury Engineering, and they were heavily recruiting for grads, basically, out of college. And I was fortunate enough to get in very early with them. They were quite a specific installation company. So they actually did mech, elec, and they did a fire protection offering as well, too. So it was slightly different in Europe. You designed, installed, tested, and commissioned. Really, consultancies were only there to give you a block plan, maybe a hatch block plan with a couple of words telling you what the hazard classification in a specific area was. And that was it. It went to the specialized contractors to do all the design documentation, right from concept all the way through. Now, consultancy would give a little bit more when it came to electrical and mechanical. They give preliminary layouts of duct runs and things like that. But fire protection was just a hatch block plan. That was it. But it was interesting because they had a different form of regulatory obligations you had to go through. So, for example, a consultancy would be engaged to really peer review that contract documentation. And only until you got their approval, the consultant's approval, plus the client's insurer's approval, could you actually issue fabrication drawings to get pipe on site. So it was a real great learning curve for me, to be honest, is where I cut my teeth. I spent a year and a half, I think it was, on building sites in a little porter cabin, and if you don't learn there, you're not going to learn many places.
No, not at all.
it was a real benefit to absorb, as a young man, to absorb the knowledge of, let's say, battle-hardened project managers, project leads, installation crews as well, too. And I say that to all the guys I've worked with, particularly young guys that come into this industry, is absorb as much knowledge as you possibly can from different people. So understanding there's what I describe as textbook engineers, which is great, but there's also practical engineers. You can learn a lot of your practical engineering knowledge through site exposure, site experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, being on site is a fantastic mix of all kinds of knowledge and expertise. You know, the guys that have been in the trade for years, and they've got a wealth of knowledge there, and that's awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and just being open to those opportunities and every bit of wisdom that comes your way is so crucial.
Well, understanding as well too that your lines and circles on paper are actually something that someone has to put in.
Yeah,
So there's a lot to absorb there. There's a lot to take in. I learned a lot of the question I remember as a young designer would be, so how am I going to maintain this system? And you got a scratch in your head and you go, well, better think about that. How am I going to drain this system down? Where's, varying points that I need to go to on the system. So all that was a really great learning curve. And then coming to Australia in 2006, I was a project manager back then as well too. And I came to Australia and then I saw the real consultancy path. And that was an avenue that I really wanted to explore as well too. And I was fortunate enough to get sponsored and ultimately get my citizenship over the years and things like that. And I've been very fortunate, and more importantly, been very fortunate to work with some truly fantastic engineers throughout the years.
yeah, wonderful. How have you found the difference in that approach to fire services design and engineering between the two countries, especially with that kind of essentially that global approach from the system in Europe versus what we've got here in Australia?
Well, it's quite interesting because this morning the fire protection design team here, we had a collaboration session with our counterparts in the States. And this evening, actually, we're having another collaboration session with our counterparts in Europe. So we're all getting different opinions on how we operate and to try to set our, common standards and common goals collectively within Jensen Hughes. So that's really a great thing to have. And I think that's one of the distinguishing factors of our business at Jensen Hughes, that we are able to leverage off this global base of knowledge that we have and experts throughout the globe to really impact how we deliver projects in the Pacific region as well too. So with my base knowledge from when I was back in Europe and back in Ireland is great, and I bring it into this realm as well too, for sure. They are similar but not similar, if that makes sense, in how but the ultimate goal is fire systems install. So that's what we have to remember, and if you can leverage off your learnings from wherever you were throughout the globe and bring the best parts that you see and try and implement them into whatever country or whatever code that you're working to is really a great thing.
Yeah, wonderful. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's such a advantageous position as part of this business, being able to just communicate globally across and as well across disciplines. The one thing that we've found now crucial, the connection between fire engineering and fire services is going to be such a critical factor to that understanding for each discipline, and we're very excited to see how that rolls out with across the business and across the global portion of the business, not just in the Pacific.
You've hit the nail on the head. I couldn't agree more. It's just fantastic to have such a group of experts all sitting together. If we look at fire as a whole, for example, we have pretty much every subsector of fire covered. We've got fire protection design, fire safety engineering. We've got passive fire design. We've got fire testing and assessment. We've got product certification, which is, I think, we're one of only 2 companies that actually provide that facility in Australia. So these are all unbelievable pockets of knowledge that we can dip into when required to better what we produce. So it's the approach that I've observed so far is just fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. So you're recently joined Jensen Hughes here, and your role being the lead for setting up this fire services discipline as part of the Pacific region. How do you see that rolling out? What's your plan, and what do you see as the kind of challenges and opportunities as part of this role?
Well, I'm one of two. So Samuel Beatson is also a market lead for the Pacific region. So he's located in our New Zealand branch. So our role really is we kind of have a fresh slate here, to be quite frank. You know, it's a new service line offering that Jensen Hughes are providing in the Pacific region, mind you. We've provided heavily in the States and Europe and the Middle East and Asia, but this is the first time we have boots on the ground within, you know, Australia and New Zealand. So it's an exciting time, and it's an exciting time for the team that we've got. We've also got Marco Philippe, who is, you know, senior fire protection engineer, very respected in the industry. Brian Mendoza, also very respected in the industry, and Mike Thomas in New Zealand with Samuel. So initially, we are setting the procedures and all our templates in place. We have got our name on the market. Sam's been here for about 8 months already, and so he has put a lot of systems in place. We've got a lot of opportunities on the table at the moment. So it's a fantastic time, and I think for fire protection, in particular, if I put my lens just on the Australia side of the business, you know, for us, there's been a lot of regulatory changes in New South Wales, for example. As of tomorrow, there is changes. If you are not fully qualified, you cannot sign off fire services design documentation. But in New South Wales, that's been implemented tomorrow. Oh, you know, wow. Luckily, we've got accredited, myself and Marco, both accredited engineers. We cross interstate. We do work, you know, in New South Wales and Queensland. We're fully registered. So we've really been selective of the people that we've tried to get to start this business line off in the right manner. I believe we have.
Absolutely. Perfect. So a real targeted approach. I love it. In saying that, the other part that I wonder, when we talked and refer back to the holistic approach and the differences across countries, I wonder now, tying in with other disciplines and things like that, how is your approach to fire services design going to change in terms of where we get engaged within the project? Is that going to change now, or are you going to have more visibility from the start of a project, or?
We would like to hope so, yeah. We certainly, because, you know, if we follow the chain of how good jobs should be run, it's, you know, early engagement with a BCA consultant. Well, we are BCA consultants. We've got them in-house, you know, and from their report, as you well know, you know, we identified the non-compliances within the proposed design, which will then filter down into fire engineering and performance solutions. So it's getting that opportunity at an early stage to get involved, which is something that I think we need to try and educate our clients a little bit with. And that is going to be an interesting journey for us all to try and go on. That, I think, is what will distinguish us in our services offering, specifically for fire protection design, yes.
Absolutely. So it's becomes a perception change in the industry, and giving that awareness of the opportunity that is there of that combined approach, and how those services can tie together, and how that in its way, although you have multiple hands working straight away, you optimize the situation in the back end realistically.
I think so, you know, and realistically, you know, fire comes to the fore at the end of the job when you're looking to get your OC, you know. Exactly. So that's the reality. And so if we can set the wheels in motion from an early stage, you know, it'll save us in the long run at the back end of a project when it begins to get a bit hairy, you know. So that, I think, is going to be a great adventure for us.
Absolutely. And so how do you find that, I suppose, business development wise, how do you find that that's going to be communicated, like the importance of the upfront cost versus the cost in the back end?
I think that's going to have to be a bit of a perception change and how projects are actually managed, you know. There's certainly different ways a project can be delivered. Some people see the value in very minimum engagement of consultants and try and go D&C model, which is an interesting approach. Let's put it that way. I think it's beginning to slow down that approach, and people see that you might think you're making a saving from the start, but ultimately in the end, it could cost you more than to do it the traditional way, which is follow the correct pathway. And that's something that I'm really keen to try and vocalize that message, from the start. There's, you get what you pay for at the end of the day. And if you try and start cheap, you're going to end cheap. So, it is something, and particularly, up in the Queensland region where we are as well too, what's coming up in the next 7 years, we're talking about big projects. So everyone's keen to get a piece of some of them if possible. There's a lot to look forward to throughout the states, to be quite honest. New South Wales, WA as well too, we've been offering over there. So we're super stoked to work as a collective team in Jensen Hughes, to really drill down to how we can showcase to our clients how we can add value right from the start. And fire protection is a line within that overall Jensen Hughes offering.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, I think the direction is clear, and the future looks very bright. So the message to everyone listening is really get in touch with us and see how we can add value to your projects and how we can help with a functional, fantastic solution. So thank you again, David, for your time today. We'll wrap up there, but I've got to ask you, do you have a fun fact for our listeners, or something a little interesting about the industry that maybe people out there might not know of?
A fun fact about fire. Okay. There's an urban myth that is well believed in Sydney.
Okay. Yeah.
That the first fire station was actually a pub.
Really?
Now, I hate, as much as I wish this were true, it's not, unfortunately. The first fire station is actually on Castlereagh Street and was opened in 1888 and is still functioning today in the city of Sydney. To be honest, in that borough, I think Markvale Stairs opened in 1886, but they're inner west. So
okay.
But that kind of ties in for two reasons. The first reason being, it is where our current Sydney office is located, Castlereagh Street.
Just a stone's throw away.
Just a stone's throw away. And the year it opened in 1888 is the year the British and Irish Lines were founded, who are also in town at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately they demolished us. So
So that's my fun, interesting fact, I suppose.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. I did not know that. Wow, learn something new about my city every day. Oh, awesome. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the JH Insider Podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation and took something valuable from it. If you did, make sure to subscribe, follow, so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn at Jensen Hughes Pacific, or via our website, as we previously mentioned, www.jensenhughes.com/Pacific. We'd love to hear your thoughts, feedback, or even suggestions for future topics. Thanks for tuning in, and most importantly, thank you again for your time, David, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, stay curious.